Tonight, cuts to care. As councils squeeze their budgets, some of the most vulnerable people say their quality of life is being forgotten.
The cuts will make it hard for me to get out of the house. I think it would be interesting for the councillors to spend the day with me and see what my life is like.
Also making the headlines, a Valentine's warning. Is your online lover a real person or an artificial intelligence scam trying to get their hands on your money?
Tonight's sport comes from Celtic Park, where Brendan Rodgers' side faced Bayern Munich in the Champions League.
And has your dog got funny bones? Glasgow's Comedy Festival is searching for an old dog with some new tricks. I'm John Mackay. This is the STV News at 6. Good evening. We're invisible in society. The words of a mother whose family is facing significant cuts to their social care budget. East Renfrewshire Council voted to means test non-residential care, meaning they're now going to charge £20 an hour for some elements of support. 19-year-old Romy Loeffler is severely disabled and will be among the hardest hit by the decision. She told STV News she wants decision makers to spend the day with her to see how devastating the cuts will be to her quality of life. Vanessa Taff has more.
I thought of the nursery school kids, huddled round Charles the next morning like Lilliputians.
This mother and daughter spend a lot of time together. Romy has epilepsy and Tourette syndrome, a rare genetic condition. Cuts to her care mean she could be spending an awful lot more time at home.
I need 24-hour support to live my life. I am 19 and I don't want to hang out with my mum all the time. The cuts will make it hard for me to get out of the house. I think it would be interesting for the councillors to spend the day with me and see what my life is like.
Due to the level of care and the scale of her support package, Romy will be among those hardest hit by the council's cuts. Her mum fears reducing the support will force her to give up her work to provide the additional care.
Families like ours are very invisible within society. You don't see families like ours because it's so hard to get out. Society's not set up for families like ours, and I think until they see and understand what they're making decisions on, then I think they're going to make and take the wrong decisions. I think if they understand the consequences properly of what they are proposing, then possibly they might think again.
East Renfrewshire Council passed a vote to means test non-residential care, which means the level of care they will fund depends on the family's finances. But only a handful of council cabinet members cast their vote, provoking anger from those who require the vital service.
Fund it this year, give the Scottish Government a chance to actually look at funding this across Scotland, and then they can look at it, but I'm asking for them to throw it out. But the next item that came up immediately after this item was declaring an underspend this year in the council's budget of 2.14 million, which is quite shocking because that is going to be put into the reserves.
The leader of East Renfrewshire Council wasn't available for an interview. In a statement, they said it was with a heavy heart that they made the decision in order to meet the significant financial challenges of delivering services in the long term.
He's not. He's certainly done everything he possibly can to convince Charles that he is.
There will now be another vote on the issue again at the end of the month. Until then, those directly impacted will await their fate.
And Vanessa, many families will be worried about what these cuts will mean for their care.
Well, yeah, social care is all about having some independence and some freedom from your family. And no matter what age you are, that's what those funds are supposed to try and do. Now, it's no wonder families like Romy's feel, invisible within society. And it's just so difficult to get out and about without that specialist care that's potentially going to be cut. Imagine go to the shops, the cinema, just out for lunch. And councils have struggled with their budgets, there's no doubt about that. East Renfrewshire Council are admittedly the last within the Greater Glasgow area to enforce these cuts, but they will be wide-reaching and have a big impact. Now, on a national level, the Scottish Government have recently scrapped the National Care Service, so they had plans there for a one-shop sort of overarching body that would implement social care. But that's not happening, and the reality is it's little comfort to families like Romy's who feel that they really, really need this care and have been politically forgotten about.
Vanessa, thank you. Ahead of Valentine's Day, cyber security experts are warning of the rise in romance scams using artificial intelligence as AI becomes more prolific. One Edinburgh woman lost thousands of pounds after being duped by digitally altered videos. She wants to ensure others don't suffer the same fate. Lewis Mickey reports.
Good morning, Nikki. I hope you had a wonderful night.
Is there anything about this video you think is off?
Prove myself to you and hope this video...
Would you believe it's a real person? Retired lecturer Nikki MacLeod did, but roughly £20,000 later, she realises she was scammed.
I was just getting a bit lonely because I'd lost my parents and my partner and our kids during lockdown. And I just, after a while, I started chatting to people on Facebook in chat rooms.
She started chatting to someone she knew as Ala Morgan. Over time, she asked Nikki to send larger and larger sums of money.
I fell totally in love with this woman. She totally convinced me she was real. Her and her syndicate, wherever they are, have got 20 grand's worth of my money. I really wanted to trust her. I wanted it to be real. But the more time went on, everything started to add up.
Well, Nikki.
In reality, the videos of Ala were a product of artificial intelligence based on Sophie, a French navigation officer.
Yes, I had to myself double-check the real videos to see what had changed.
Data from internet security giants McAfee shows nearly 1 in 4 people say they or someone they know have been approached by an AI chatbot posing as a real person, and 3 in 4 people believe scammers could easily use AI to fake romantic relationships and manipulate victims financially or emotionally. It consistently blocks romance-related scams. Experts are concerned not just by the prevalence of these scams, but how they're becoming increasingly convincing.
People have a perception that the people getting scammed are older people who aren't really using the internet very much and they're kind of an easy target. And that's actually not the case. A lot of studies have shown that anyone can be scammed, and particularly kind of younger people, Gen Z, who spend a lot of time online.
With any technology, once the genie's out of the ball, there's no putting it back. Certainly the biggest defence against any of these things is to educate people as to how attackers behave. If we can use AI in a positive manner to go and fight against it, then we absolutely should.
Police Scotland say they're investigating what happened to Nikki. She's managed to recover £7,000 of her cash, but she's keen others learn from her story and be cautious online. Lewis Mickey, STV News, Edinburgh.
Feral pigs believed to have been illegally released in the Highlands have now been caught and killed. The wild boar herd was spotted in the Inch and Glenfeshie areas over the weekend. Forestry Land Scotland say the animals were captured and culled following the advice of vets and Police Scotland. It's been the third illegal release of animals in the area in the last month. MPs have been told it will take 3 to 4 years to understand the full health impact of the UK's first safer drugs consumption room in Glasgow. The Thistle Centre, which opened in January, is a space where users inject heroin and cocaine under medical supervision. A group of experts outlined to Westminster's Scottish Affairs Committee what would be classed as successful outcomes for the pilot facility.
We're really looking at sort of engaging those high-risk substance users, not people who want to inject perhaps for the first time. That's not the target population. These are people maybe with long career histories. And the more we can engage them and the more they attend, that tends to be where we see the big harm reduction benefits.
I think it's important to clarify that the facility will address issues within the locality where it's located. So the facility is not going to address drug deaths in Lanarkshire, in Lothian, in Fife, in Tayside. It's perhaps not even going to address drug-related deaths in the rest of Greater Glasgow and Clyde. It will address the drug death risk for the people using the facility and the people in and around the locality who use drugs in that area.
A transgender doctor raised a formal complaint about patient safety 8 months after an incident involving a nurse, but denied trying to have her struck off, an employment tribunal has heard. Nurse Sandy Peggy, who worked at Victoria Hospital in Kirkcaldy for 30 years, was suspended after raising concerns about Dr Beth Upton using the female changing room. Lynn Rankin reports.
Dr Beth Upton leaving the employment tribunal after completing 3 days of questioning. The doctor began gender transition in January 2022. Nurse Sandy Peggy took NHS Fife and the doctor to an employment tribunal after she was suspended for raising concerns that Beth Upton was allowed to use the female changing rooms. On Christmas Eve 2023, while they were both in the changing room, Sandy Peggy told the doctor she didn't think she should be there. Dr Upton raised a complaint of bullying and harassment. The nurse's barrister put it to Dr Upton that you've done your best to end Sandy's unblemished 30-year career as a nurse as punishment for defying you. You were determined to have her struck off. Dr Upton replied, I'm not interested in having her struck off. I'm not interested in having her kicked out of the hospital. I'm not interested in having her punished. I'm interested in justice and looking after people in accident and emergency. The doctor alleged Miss Peggy had abandoned a patient in the resuscitation unit and she felt the nurse did not want to work with her. But Dr Upton did not report it at the time. It was June, 8 months after the incident, that a complaint was made. In closing, Dr Upton was asked how she felt about being repeatedly misgendered throughout the hearing and being compared to a torturer. She replied that trans people are not predators or dangerous. The tribunal continues tomorrow. Lynn Rankin, STV News.
A Glasgow auction house says it will no longer sell Nazi artefacts. Items, including a German Air Force dagger and swastika bunting, went under the hammer at McTeers yesterday. A spokesperson for the auction house says it understands concern about the sales and that it won't be selling objects from the Third Reich again. The firm also says it will not receive an income fee for the items sold. Support staff at Strathclyde University have voted to strike in a row over pensions. 94% of members of the Unite Union backed industrial action. They accuse their employer of moving them to a worse-off pension scheme. A spokesman for the university says they are disappointed with the outcome of the ballot and a decision regarding the change of pension provider has not yet been made. Ambitious £4 million plans are in the works to revive a former Glasgow South Side hotspot that's lain vacant for almost a decade. Local businessman Sam Amjadi wants to rescue the former Tusk nightclub in Shawlands. His vision includes restoring the building into a vibrant cinema, cafe and community space. Caitlin Hutchison has the story.
It first opened on Christmas Day in 1922 and entertained cinema goers for over 50 years. Now it lies empty. It was a bingo hall and snooker club in the 70s and 80s and got a new lease of life as Tusk nightclub in the early 2000s. Now there's a mission to revive this once again dilapidated building.
I think it's criminal that we allow buildings that have woven into our communities just go to decay. I'd like a return to what it was. And without being fluffy about that, it was a cinema. And beyond that, Southside is crying out for a space where people can gather. I've notionally called it a co-working space and cafe. I've got some ambitious plans and hopefully get the funding for it.
It's thought the project could cost around £4 to £5 million, and Sam says he's had interest from both public and private investors. They, like the local community, are keen to see something done with the building.
I've been in there, I came for a wedding. Yeah, it was beautiful inside. It's just a shame that it has just gone the way how it looks now.
I used to go to Tusk when it was open quite a while ago. It feels like we've got so many great restaurants and bars and coffee shops and gift shops and all of those other things that come with gentrification, and we don't have a cinema. So I would really, really love to see a cinema around here.
I remember it was Tusk, but I was too young for Tusk. But I remember going for my 18th birthday when it was the tea rooms. But it shut quite quickly after that, so it would be nice for it to have life again.
With its domed roof, Egyptian-style columns and even a theatre organ inside, the Waverley Picture House stood as a symbol for Scotland's cinematic golden age. After years of neglect, renovations won't be easy. It needs extensive work, including roof repairs, damp and rot. Yet despite these challenges, community support seems to be growing. The Tusk rescue mission is well underway. And while there are still funds to secure, there's hope this iconic building can once again become a vital part of the community. Caitlin Hutchison, STV News in Shawlands.
A big night for Celtic in Europe. Let's go to Rahman at Parkhead for tonight's sport.
Your window to sport. C.R. Smith sponsors STV Sport.
A very good evening from Celtic Park, where tonight Celtic face one of the powerhouses of European football, 6-time European champions, Bayern Munich, in the first leg of the last 16 Champions League playoff tie. It's been 12 years since the Parkhead club last played in the knockout stage of this competition. Well, Brendan Rodgers' side are unbeaten at home across all competitions this season, and the Celtic manager is urging his players to capitalise on home advantage tonight.
I think what is important for us, that we're very much alive in the tie. Going over to Germany, I think that would be the key message for us. But we want to go and perform, and we're not frightened to lose. That's not what this is about. This is about, going and performing. And if we can perform well, like we've shown in this competition, especially at home, hopefully we can get what we deserve.
How exciting is the prospect of coming up against Harry Kane, a player of his quality?
Good. I've played against many players who are world class and who are great players as well. But as a defender, you kind of look forward to those games, and you want to test yourself. And he's backed by a lot of people, and he's shown a lot of people he can do amazing things. But as a defender, you want to show that you can stop that and do your best.
Austin Trusty there, relishing the prospect of coming up against Harry Kane. Well, Brendan Rodgers has described the striker as world class. The England captain has scored 3 hat-tricks in the Bundesliga this season. The team is full of top players, with World Cup winner Manuel Neuer in goal. Attacking midfielder Jamal Musiala will be a real threat, and they have a very strong bench too. That said, their head coach Vincent Kompany knows the challenge Celtic pose at Parkhead.
Anyone that has a little bit of a deeper understanding of football would understand the home record of Celtic in this competition, and it's not just recent. It's had a period with a little bit less, but I can remember even in my time throughout my career, I can't remember Celtic losing at home in Europe. So it is a fortress. Why and how, and I think these things play out on the night. We'll see.
Well, it should be quite an atmosphere tonight. There won't be a spare seat inside Celtic Park. Around 3,000 Bayern Munich fans have made the trip to Glasgow. As for the Celtic support, they're hoping their team can bring their A-game and produce a result for the ages.
I think we're in with a chance if we play our best, and they're not quite as good as their best. We're in with a real shout.
We're just looking for something we can hold on to in Munich, so anything apart from getting beat 5 or 6 will do.
I think it's Maeda. I don't think Jota's fully fit yet. Kuhn, Jota and Maeda, I think that's my 3 that are going to win us a game tonight.
Of course, Bayern Munich's going to win. I mean, it's clear favourites. It's going to be a super exciting game. I mean, big crowd, great stadiums.
It's going to be tough, because here in Scotland, I heard the atmosphere is really good.
We had the Scottish fans for the World Cup in Munich, and we've been to the game, and they were the best fans we ever met. Yeah. So we are very excited to be in Scotland to see them.
Celtic having Dyson Maeda back is a huge boost. Kick-off here is at 8 o'clock. Well, from the Champions League to the Premiership, and Kilmarnock manager Derek McKinnon says his team haven't given up hope of securing a top 6 place. Following their win over Dundee United, Killie have moved to within 3 points of the top half of the table, with just 8 games to go before the split.
We gave it up, and we still feels that we can make the ground up, that we felt that we were always working from behind it a wee bit with the start, with European involvement, with injuries and discipline part of it. We made things more difficult for ourselves, but we still feel there's enough wins in us to get a top 6, and that's what we're working towards. The motivation's high for us to try and be that.
Finally, snooker news, and John Higgins is through to the third round of the Welsh Open after thrashing Robert Wilkins by 4 frames to 0. Fellow Scot Stephen Maguire is also through to the next round after upsetting the odds by defeating local favourite Mark Williams 4-2.
Your window to sport. C.R. Smith sponsors STV Sport.
And that, folks, is all of your sport tonight ahead of Celtic against Bayern Munich in the Champions League. Should be a cracker, John.
It should be. Rahman, thank you. Now to Sean with the weather.
An icy start to the day will give way to a series of oohs and ahs. TUI sponsors STV Weather.
Very good evening to you. We can sit in this battleground over the next couple of days. We've got milder air to the west of us, the green colours here. We've got the blue colours, much colder air to the east of us. If you have a very close look, you can see the blue and the green just moving back and forward over the top of us. So we sit in this battleground. Over the next couple of days, a lot of cloud around, predominantly the colder air that's going to win out. So still chilly, cloudy days for many of us. But we avoid overnight frost with the cloud around in some spots as well. But tonight's going to be a cold one, especially where we have the cloud breaks a bit further west. Temperatures inland parts of Ayrshire, South Lanarkshire, -2, -3 degrees Celsius. We'll be down to about -4 in Aviemore, but for our region, lowest temperatures about -2, South Lanarkshire, also inland parts of Argyll and Bute as well. Now tomorrow, weather very similar. Central, southern, eastern parts, we continue to see a stream of cloud coming in from the North Sea, but I think tomorrow's cloud will be just a little bit thinner, so hopefully a few brighter spells, a few sunny spells coming through as well. The best of the sunshine, cloud breaks across the northwestern parts, especially northwest of the Great Glen, temperatures about 5 or 6 degrees. The weather not changing much over the next couple of days. We hang on to breezy conditions, which makes it feel particularly chilly across the Hebrides. A lot of cloud for many of us, and there is a possibility of some drizzly showers coming into southwestern parts on Saturday. A little bit of winteriness over the hills as well. Bye-bye.
TUI sponsors STV Weather.
And finally, auditions have been taking place to find Scotland's funniest and most talented dog to star in a play at this year's Glasgow Comedy Festival. The talented pup will have a starring role, and as a lot of boys have been finding out, it's not to be sniffed at.
Today in Glasgow, the hunt was on to find the next Spaniel Radcliffe or Brad Pitbull, a dog to star in a show at the Glasgow Comedy Festival.
It's called Walking Shadows. Involves 12 humans and 1 dog. But today we're hopefully to cast a dog. Put the word out there, and dog owners obviously love their dogs, and so many have come forward, even dogs sending through their resume. But it's about that star quality and can do a trick on command. But it should be good fun judging it.
And amongst those hoping to bag, or should that be wag, that winning role, is the delightful miniature dashhound Daphne.
Don't know if Daphne's got what it takes, but she's definitely got lots of sass. She can do a sausage roll, so she stands up like a meerkat and then rolls in like a sausage.
Just thought it'd be quite fun to bring Roxy along to perform some of her tricks because she's so amazing. She's going to do a left and a right spin, and then she's going to do her shy. Shy.
Skittles is just to build her confidence, so she's a rescue dog. The family that had her couldn't look after her, so she came to me. She's been in Legally Blonde, she's been in Annie, she's done some TV work before.
Wait a minute, she's a superstar?
I wouldn't say superstar, but she's got more experience on the stage than me.
Do you think you've got star quality? With that, it was time for our pups to perform, although some had bitten off more than they could chew. And while the judges deliberated, I took some time out to share some comedy tips with my new pal Skittles.
Skittles, got a wee joke for you. What do you call a sneezing dog? A chihuahua. Is that you laughing?
Thankfully, the winner of the dog scare was far more talented than I am.
The winner is Roxy.
Oh, I'm so delighted for her. She did so well. She'll be fabulous. All my friends are like saying, you know, oh, we need to come and we need to get like tickets. So really good. So.
Congratulations, Roxy. You really are top dog. Laura Boyd, STV News, Glasgow.
She'll be great. Is that Tiger? Not worth thinking about, probably not. Good night.